You're guilty of massive amounts of misinformation and disinformation as a part of a propaganda campaign.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into members of the Obama administration over the 2016 Russia investigation.
A lot of them are guilty of it. Yeah. A lot of the people that are in that White House press conference, a lot of the organizations they work for, distributed absolute lies.
Total lies.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents that she says shows Obama administration officials manufactured intelligence to make it look like Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
How many of them during the whole Russiagate thing?
A lot of people think that the Russia thing was real.
Yeah. Still.
I mean, the whole Steele dossier where it was like completely concocted.
Funded by the Clinton campaign.
Correct.
Divorce rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
Two of the sharpest tongues in media just unleashed on one of the most carefully manufactured political legacies of modern history, shredding its glossy packaging with brutal precision. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld didn't simply chip at the surface. They tore it down brick by brick, spotlighting cracks that had been hiding in plain sight for years. This wasn't some polite Sunday panel critique. It was an unrelenting, high-volume roast, charisma colliding with cold, merciless reality, the myth splintering under the sheer weight of raw, unfiltered truth.
Volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
Immigration. Where are you? The high ground maneuver of common sense has relegated it into more extreme measures. Ask Obama, okay, where do I apply this courage? You know, what space do I park it in? Should I double down on trans dudes in women's sports? Should I back the attacks on ICE? Should I show courage on those?
Barack Obama has worn many masks in his political lifetime. The smooth-talking, teleprompter-surfing salesman of hope and change. The man who could make "Yes, we can" sound like a revolutionary war cry while quietly signing bills that read like corporate wish lists. Joe Rogan and Greg Gutfeld wouldn't be here to politely clap for the greatest hits. They'd be here to peel back the layers of brand management that turned Obama into a political collectible. A glossy action figure you keep in the box so you can pretend it's still valuable. Strip away the production value, and what's left is less Camelot and more late-night infomercial for charisma.
Glass of water? This is not a prank. He gets a glass of Flint tap water. I swear to God, he drinks it like this.
Can I get some water? I really didn't need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
it's
that.
It's 100% a stunt. He's bullshitting the world.
Is Obama gay? Needing attention over an old letter. What? I should read that again. Anyway, no, we'll just keep going. The New York Post obtained a redacted portion of a handwritten letter the former president sent to his then-college girlfriend, Alex McNear. Alex, eh? Back in 1982. He talked about his, quote, androgynous mind and wrote, and I'm quoting Obama here, I make love to men daily, but in the immense...
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon. Obama's presidency played out like a meticulously scripted Netflix series. Sleek cinematography, perfectly timed pauses, and cliffhangers that never really paid off. Rogan compares it to one of those mystery boxes you buy online. You open it hoping for treasure and end up with 3 coasters, a keychain, and a thank you note for your enthusiasm. Gutfeld calls it what it really was, an extended TED Talk with beautiful slides and no real payoff, where the audience walked out with homework instead of results.
The accusation, they're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election.
For 8 straight years, Obama turned mediocrity into a masterclass illusion. He could speak for 40 minutes about unity while an actual drone strike was unfolding overseas. And the press corps would still swoon, calling it measured leadership. Rogan zeroes in on the irony. A man who won a Nobel Peace Prize faster than most people collect their first paycheck, then spent the rest of his presidency authorizing enough military action to make that award feel like an elaborate prank. Gutfeld twists the knife further, pointing out how half of Obama's lofty speeches sounded like they were crafted for a book club that never even bothered to read past chapter 1.
Obama endorsed Biden. I'm sold.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. He's fine now. Once Obama endorsed him, no, he can't remember anything. Did you see what Donald Trump Jr. tweeted?
No.
Or he put it on Instagram that Biden is like a web browser? Here, it's a hilarious meme.
The meme. And then there's the myth that Obama floated serenely above Washington's petty politics, untouched by the swamp. Rogan laughs at that notion the same way he laughs at people who think Bigfoot shops at Walmart, entertaining but absurd. Obama built his legacy out of optics, the tan suit, the slow jam on late-night TV, the March Madness brackets. Gutfeld likens it to a magician dazzling you with shiny props while picking your pocket clean. While America obsessed over his Spotify playlists, the machinery of Washington kept cranking out the same swamp sludge, just with a sleeker label.
I had candid conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what it was like.
It's a disservice to the American people that former President Obama's office and others who are criticizing the transparency that is being delivered by releasing these documents. They are doing a disservice to the American people and trying to deflect away from their culpability in what is a historic scandal.
She's a person, tries to be friends with everybody, tries to reach across the aisle.
Obama's post-presidency only sharpened the punchline. Rather than riding off into the sunset as a dignified elder statesman, he morphed into the political equivalent of a Netflix executive producer, slapping his name on glossy projects, cashing checks, and occasionally popping up to deliver speeches that sound eerily identical to the last 10. And let's not kid ourselves, Obama's rise wasn't powered solely by intellect. Rogan points out how much of his appeal came from packaging. The clean lines, the voice like velvet, the perfectly timed pauses that made bland statements feel like philosophical bombs. It's delivery that makes you nod, even when the substance is emptier than a stadium after a crushing loss. Gutfeld jokes that if Obama read cough syrup side effects aloud, half the country would demand they be added to the Constitution.
I think the best people age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man.
Oh, Lord, what's going on now? Who's hollering? I can't even see it.
Who really wanted to change the world. And that dude aged more than anybody.
I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear that well. I can't see that good.
Who aged the least? Trump. Trump just
This is something that
he just brushed that shit off his shoulders like it was nothing.
We knock on wood wherever we may have wood that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way.
I don't know if I trust Trump. His hair's not getting gray. What kind of politician doesn't get gray hair?
He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
He makes fun of his own hair. He was on stage talking about his comb.
But the sharpest roast lands when Rogan and Gutfeld zero in on the yawning gap between Obama's polished personal brand and the reality of his outcomes. For every lofty promise of transparency, there was some government agency quietly blacking out entire documents. Gutfeld calls it turning scandals into sweater weather, where controversies felt less like national outrages and more like cozy background noise for a coffee commercial. Then comes the Obama worship industry, the books, the glossy documentaries, the endless nostalgia reels. Rogan laughs at how every political failure of the past decade gets airbrushed away, replaced by slow-motion footage of Obama strolling through the White House garden. Gutfeld adds it's like America's in a toxic relationship with its own memory, ignoring arguments, broken promises, and passive-aggressive digs because the vacation photos still look perfect. And just when you think they're finished, Rogan and Gutfeld rip into those carefully timed political cameos. Obama rarely weighs in, but when he does, it's always with the kind of precision you'd expect from someone checking their Q score twice.
Spirit.
The answer to that statement can very clearly be found throughout all of the documents that we have released, showing that Russia took action to try to sow discord in the election, but showed no preference for or against any singular candidate.
And she was like, it's crazy, the amount of backstabbing that's going on.
That's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies.
Like when she got into office, you realize like you're not really in control of everything because there's another person who's in control of each individual department, and they'll stop whatever you're trying to do every step of the way. They get in the way of everything. What are you going to do?
Rogan says it's like watching a retired fighter come back for easy exhibition bouts against opponents who barely trained. Gutfeld compares it to a celebrity chef casually strolling in to sprinkle garnish on a dish someone else already cooked. They refuse to let Obama's cult of personality off the hook either. Rogan highlights the mental gymnastics people still perform to defend every decision, as if Obama personally invented sunlight. Gutfeld points out that this level of blind devotion isn't politics at all. It's pure brand loyalty. It's buying everything on the shelf just because the logo feels safe, even when the product consistently fails to deliver. What makes the roast really sting is Rogan and Gutfeld aren't saying Obama was uniquely bad. They're saying he was uniquely good at looking good while doing the same Washington routine as everyone else. It's performance art with trillion-dollar consequences, the kind of act that convinces you the rabbit in the hat is magic, while the guy next to him quietly sells off your furniture. They hammer home how Obama's legacy is too often flattered by being compared to the chaos that followed. But that's a hollow comfort. Rogan notes that being the least bad in a lineup of disasters isn't a compliment. It's like winning a pie-eating contest where every single pie was expired. Gutfeld adds that nostalgia for Obama says less about his greatness and far more about just how low the bar has truly fallen.
Election.
We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of...
By the time they're finished, Rogan has completely stripped the polish off the Obama brand. What's left isn't the legend or the mythic iconography. It's simply a man who perfected the art of selling the promise of change while quietly keeping the gears of the old system turning without interruption. It's the ultimate bait-and-switch routine. And the cruel punchline, half the country still believes they got a bargain. That might be the harshest part of the roast. Realizing Obama's legacy isn't defined by what he tangibly accomplished, but by how skillfully he convinced people he was accomplishing it. It's political theater at its finest, with Obama as the charismatic leading man. But like any long-running show, the charm wears thin once you realize the plot never truly moved forward. Rogan and Gutfeld aren't angry about it. They're just determined to make sure everyone notices the strings being pulled. Because at its core, the Obama story isn't really about hope or change at all. It's about the sheer power of presentation, the smooth cadence, the immaculately tailored suit, the carefully crafted image of a leader who could supposedly unite a fractured nation. That's more than enough for some people, but for Rogan and Gutfeld, it's the perfect setup for a roast that doesn't just aim for laughs. It digs for the uncomfortable truth hiding under all that polite applause.
When they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, fuck this. And then they go, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect.
And while Obama's busy curating his next playlist, as if it's the world's most urgent geopolitical crisis, Joe Rogan lands a jab sharp enough to make even his MMA guests wince. He points out that Obama has perfected the art of transforming every scandal into a TED Talk. A long, meandering monologue filled with such theatrical pauses, you forget the original question entirely. It's like watching a magician wave his hands around, except instead of pulling a rabbit out of a hat, he pulls out an anecdote about his childhood in Hawaii and calls it leadership. Greg Gutfeld jumps on that momentum, zeroing in on Obama's obsession with being the coolest guy in every room. Not the smartest, not the most effective, just the coolest. Why bother racking up tangible policy wins when you can quote Jay-Z, rock a bomber jacket, and send the media into a collective swoon like they're seeing a Marvel superhero in the flesh? Gutfeld paints it perfectly, Obama striding into a national security meeting like it's open mic night, timing his sentences for applause breaks. Rogan digs deeper, pointing out that Obama's public persona is basically the political equivalent of a heavily filtered Instagram feed, flawless lighting, polished captions, and none of the messy, inconvenient realities that would ruin the aesthetic.
Obama said he was a jackass.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing? Why would he do that? He's a jack.
He's like, oh really? Well, you.
It was about the Taylor Swift thing.
Now, all this stuff.
That guy's a jack. It wasn't even that harsh of an incident. He said it privately, and I think somebody heard it. I don't think he said it to be public.
I'm assuming all this stuff. Where's the pool? Come on, guys. Cut the president some slack.
Oh, here it is.
Seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award.
Why would he do that?
He's a jack. No, all this stuff.
Because the man could be selling a full-blown disaster. But if he delivered it with that calm, measured tone, people would line up to buy it like it was the newest tech gadget on the market. Obama could say the roof is collapsing, and his followers would still respond, "Wow, that's so inspiring." Gutfeld doubles down, dismantling the myth that Obama was some kind of groundbreaking political pioneer, when in reality he operated more like a high-end lifestyle brand. Smooth speeches, meticulously staged photo ops, and a crowd all too willing to confuse eloquence with genuine solutions. It's like a celebrity chef who never actually cooks, just waxes poetic about loving food while posing for glossy magazine covers. Rogan jumps back in with a jab about how Obama's Netflix deal says everything you need to know. 8 years promising transformation, followed by 8 years selling documentaries, explaining why transformation is just too complicated. It's like watching a retired athlete narrate his own highlight reel while excusing why he never won the championship. All style, no scoreboard, just endless applause for looking good in slow motion.
Federal government pays for a website devoted to a folk music ensemble made up of forest rangers. They're called the Fiddlin' Foresters. I'll put their music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for their website.
Yo, Kennedy, just watching that now, so that was 2011. Him and Trump are saying exactly the same thing, but he's not saying it as well. It's like he wasn't having fun with it.
But it's like, even the name of it, he was like, and we're gonna...
Gutfeld, not missing a beat, torches the endless parade of excuses that trailed Obama's presidency. Every bad decision, every missed opportunity, every broken promise, somehow it was always too complicated, or magically someone else's fault. Greg compares it to a guy who shows up late to every meeting and blames traffic for 8 straight years. At some point, you're not unlucky, you're just terrible at planning. Rogan swoops back in with the knockout punch. Obama's real legacy might not be political reform at all, but the blueprint for weaponizing charisma. He turned smooth talking into a full-time career track, proving to an entire generation of politicians that if you sound smart enough, you don't actually have to be smart enough. And the worst part, people are still buying it. By the time they're finished, Rogan and Gutfeld have stripped every ounce of shine off the Obama brand. No flattering camera angles, no soft stage lighting, no hand-picked Spotify tracks. Just the raw image of a politician who built his fame on style, surfed endlessly on charm, and left behind a legacy of unkept promises wrapped up like poetry. This roast isn't just about laughs, it's a reality check, showing that behind the cool factor is a man who treated politics like a marketing campaign, and the country like a captive audience.